couple other claim scenarios I wanted to just touch base on, kind of shift over to personal lines type of claims. One that comes up often, and we're kind of going into the fall time here pretty soon, depending when you listen to this podcast. But as we're recording it here in the next month or so, storms start coming through, the winds pick up, the Northeast starts blowing, and one of the big things that comes up is trees. So your tree blows down on the neighbor's house, who's at fault? Or your neighbor's tree blows down on your house, who's at fault? Whose insurance is going to cover that? And it seems like whoever owns the tree should have to pay for the damage to my house, right? So if my tree blew on my house, I pay for it. If your tree blows on my house, you pay for it. Unfortunately, that's not necessarily how it works. And I've seen this actually play out in real claim scenarios. So I'll just give you a couple of examples. So we had one where the guy had a bunch of trees, didn't prune them often. The neighbor was like, dude, your trees are going to hit my cars or my house, do something. And he's like, yeah, whatever. And he doesn't do anything. Trees come down, damage like 4 of the guy's cars in a windstorm. So he wants the neighbor. He's like, hey, I warned you, you should take care of those trees. And so they opened a claim on the homeowner's policy for liability against the neighbor. The adjuster comes back and says, hey, do you have proof, certified letter saying that you thought those trees were endangering your cars? I was like, well, no, I told him that verbally. And he's like, well, unless you can prove you told him that, or you have a certified letter saying that that is the case, that's just the wind blew, the tree fell. The tree was not obviously sick. So it's not his liability. It goes under your own car insurance. And that is how it works. On the flip side, and I did have this happen once where somebody had sent that letter, the certified letter, because I told them like, hey, if you feel like that tree is a danger to your property, you have to send it to them via certified letter. Now, you can't make anybody do something with the tree on their own property. But if you send them that certified letter that says, I feel like your tree is a danger to my property, please take appropriate action. You're not telling them what to do. You just say, take appropriate action. If they do nothing, and now that tree blows down and hits your property, their insurance will cover that. The liability will cover that because you gave them notice. You're like, hey, I feel like this is a threat. They did nothing. Their negligence caused your injury, and it would go under their liability. So something to be aware of when it comes to trees around your property. If it's your tree, if somebody says something to you, be careful. Make sure that you hey, take it seriously. And if you feel like someone else's tree is a danger to yours, your property, make sure you send it to them in letter. And you can even tell them like, I've told them like, hey, tell them it's the insurance agent that made you do it, or something along those lines. That you don't necessarily want to come across as a bad neighbor, but typically you can have a discussion first. And if they don't respond, I would definitely think about talking to your insurance agent, seeing if it's the same in your state where you might be. But typically that's going to be what you need to do, is send a certified letter.